Alright everybody, so we're going to be talking about the French seam. This is also one of those seams that we don't need any overlocker, so it's going to be easy for you guys to actually start doing this at home as well. So for this one is a little bit different to all the seams and stuff that we've done so far. For the French seam, we have marked our fabrics wrong side and right side, yes. So now with the French seam, or at least for the other seams, we have placed everything on the right sides to right sides, yeah? Right sides are laying on top of right side, but the French seam, we're gonna put the wrong side facing the wrong side. So I'm gonna turn my fabric pieces like that, wrong sides facing us, and then I'm gonna put it on top of each other, wrong side to wrong side, yeah? Place it like that. And then we're gonna sew on this side of the fabric, on my right side of it. So again, wrong sides to wrong side, and we're gonna sew on the edge here, making sure that these edges lines up. It's gonna be a little bit difficult for you guys to see because I'm sewing on the gray side now, so hopefully you can see it on the video. There we go. And we're gonna follow the same procedure where we did 1 centimeter stitch line. And again, you can mark your 1 centimeter from this edge. You can measure 1 centimeter from this edge inward. Make a little dot in the beginning. You can make a little dot in the middle. Of course, you measure the 1 centimeter first, and then you make a little dot in the end, yeah? Once you have all your dots in line, now we're actually going to start sewing the seam. Again, you want to lift your foot here with your lever. Lower your foot on the fabric, and then lower your needle into the fabric on the edge there. We're going to sew 1 centimeter. We're going to do a back tack stitch again, and by now all of you guys are familiar with back tack stitches, yeah? We're going to do 3 to the front. 1, 2, 3. We're going to push our back tack lever. 1, 2, 3 to the back. Release your lever, and then we continue that stitch all the way to the edge. Once you get to the edge, again, I'm on the edge here. Now you press your back tack lever again. We're going to go 3 to the back. 1, 2, 3. Release. 1, 2, 3. And then, of course, you raise your needle to the highest point. After you've reached the edge of the fabric, then you lift your foot here at the back, and then you move the fabric out, and then you cut your threads. There we go. So now that we've done that, we actually now have to jump to the iron. But before we jump to the iron, after we've done our 1 centimeter stitch line, we now actually want to trim away 5 millimeters from this edge, yeah? Let me tell you why. The reason why they do that is also so that they can eliminate all the bulk that might be in the seam. Because remember, whenever we are doing a French seam, like I said in class, the French seam is usually in garments that such as satin, silk, chiffon, any flimsy sort of fabrics that you don't want to have the overlocker visible. Because remember, if we had to overlock this in a chiffon garment or silk or satin garment, you would see the stitch lines and it's going to look terrible on your garment, yeah? So you actually want to do French seams on those luxurious fabrics. That's the purpose. And of course, I mean, the word says it all. French, yeah? French is just ridiculous, man, with the seam. But yeah, that is why or where the French seam is located, or those are the types of fabric where the seam is most often used, yeah? But we can use it in any piece of fabric, doesn't really matter, but that's specifically where this guy is being used, yeah? So now that we've done the 1 centimeter stitch line, we're gonna trim 5 millimeters away, just so that we can eliminate the bulk. I'll go grab my scissor real quick. Here we go, my scissor. I'm gonna trim 5 millimeters away. Basically just a half of that seam I'm gonna trim away, yeah? So in the half, we go. Once I've trimmed half away, now what you want to do is you want to open the fabric to your wrong side again, facing you. And now we're gonna just finger press it like that. This is now the wrong side facing us, facing you. You want to actually go iron this flat real quick. I'm gonna iron it quickly. Pause the video. Alright, I went to go iron the seam flat. So just want to open it. You guys might ask at this point, which way do we iron it? Do we iron it left or do we iron it right? In this case, because we're doing a French seam, you can iron it whichever way, left or right. In my case, I ironed it to the right side like that first. And then once you've ironed it to your preferred side, you're going to fold it again like that, close, and then you want to iron again, iron them flat. So now we're going to iron them together like that, yeah? So you want to make sure that you actually, zoom it in there real quick. You want to actually flatten this like that. And then you want to iron it down again on there, on that edge. You want to actually see the stitch line like that, yeah? Once you've ironed it like that, now we're gonna do the second last step to the seam. We've ironed it like that, and now we have to sew another 5mm stitch. A 5mm stitch all the way from the top, all the way to the bottom. And that's our next step. Cool? So after you've ironed it together like that, jump onto your machines, and then you want to measure 5mm from the edge. Then you make another dot for yourself. Measure 5mm from this edge, make another dot, and make another dot here, so that you can have the guideline, yeah? Place it under your machine, lift up your foot, lower your needle into the fabric always. Right on the edge. We're gonna do another back tack stitch. Check if we're still recording. Yeah, we are. Gonna do a back tack stitch. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. The machine is doing some weird stuff, and then we press our back tack lever. 1, 2, 3. And my machine is messing up. Just clean out this machine real quick. There we go. Yeah, don't worry guys, my machine also breaks sometime, yeah? But we gotta be flexible. Cool, there we go. So again, place our foot onto our fabric, lower your needle into the fabric. Let's check. There we go. Go. Lower your foot again, lower your needle into the fabric, right at the edge. Do your back tack stitch. 1, 2, 3. Press your back tack lever. 1, 2, 3. And then you continue to stitch all the way down. Keeping your eye on your edge here, and of course your guide lines, the dots that you've done. Keep your eye focused on that, and then you sort of just keep the fabric straight, yeah, as you're sewing. Right to the edge of the fabric, we're going to do another back tack stitch. Once you've reached the edge, press your back tack lever. 1, 2, 3. Release. 1, 2, 3. And then of course raise your needle to the highest point. Once you've reached the edge of your fabric, lift up your foot and push the fabric out, and then just cut it off here. Cut off all these raw edges, and there we go. That was the second last step. We've sewn everything is trapped on the inside of the seam here. You see there's no raw, nothing sticking out on the right side of the fabric. And that's how neat the seam is, your 5mm stitch. You started off with 1 centimeter, you trim away half of it, and then you fold all of this inside here. Cool. So now our next, final step is now just to iron this flat. You can decide to iron it to the right side or the left side, doesn't really matter, because your seam is beautiful on both sides, yeah? So I'm going to just iron mine to the right side real quick, and then the seam would look something like that at the end, yeah? And that's basically it. That's what the French seam is about. Cool.